And I'll let you kick off with number one.
Assuming that I do, Charlie.
Yeah, wait, actually do you?
I'm like, me. No, of course I do. Or otherwise I don't think I'd be jumping on this podcast. So the very first one for me is, and I think you hit on this awesome point around like the time horizon of like how far ahead do you want to look. But it was actually really interesting for myself. I have got a couple of investment properties already, and I actually have been looking at doing some refinancing across the top of them. And a property that we got a bank valuation done back in, I think it was like June, maybe July. The property's actually gone up 40 grand in like 5 months.
Wait, so you're telling me you bought a property this year and it didn't go down in value as the news had said so?
Totally. And so I was looking at this and I was expecting maybe a little drop of maybe like 10 grand. So to be transparent, so in June/July, it was about $390,000 is what this property was valued at. I thought it was going to come back maybe 380, maybe at best like 390. I was not expecting much, but I just wanted to see where I landed because I was going to do some refinancing and look for a new bank to finance it. It came back at 430, and I was sitting there going, wait, what? And so then I went and got my mortgage broker to go and do valuations across the other properties, and all of them had either sort of stagnated, which means they were plus minus sort of 5 grand, or increased. And I'm like, this is definitely not what I'm seeing. Like, what is the difference here? And so for me, I don't believe that property is dead. And I'm looking at this going, it's just markets in markets. It really depends where the property is, the affordability of the property, of the people that are there. Because, yes, the news is correct with some data where things are dropping, but it just depends where you've bought. It depends where the properties are. And it depends everyone that sits around it. So I'm seeing firsthand that, I don't think so. I don't think property's dead yet, Charlie.
Do you ever knee-jerk react to these things though? So let's say something comes out in the news cycle or the media and they're like, property is falling. Do you generalize the market? Do you find that you go, oh crap, it is going down? And does it take like a level of investigation into your properties in their kind of like sub-markets to diffuse that?
So for me personally, I used to do the full-on knee-jerk, and now it's like, ooh, that would kind of hurt a little bit. I wonder how much it's been impacted. And so then I go and get like a valuation done, and I've already prepared for really bad news. And then it's like, not bad news. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. So my knee-jerk reactions and responses have like minimized just because I'm like, oh, every time that I thought this was going to be horrific, it's actually turned out to be not that bad, or no, it's just not what I'm seeing. So I've tried to minimize my knee-jerk reaction. However, I will say every time the RBA comes out with a rate rise, knee-jerk reaction, stuff them. Like jerks, go to hell. Like that's not what I want. So yes,
I wonder how we'll feel the next time they lower rates. Is it gonna change our opinion?
Best friends. I'll be sending them bottles of scotch. I'll be like, you guys are great. Like this is fantastic.
So it's a very outcome-focused relationship.
Totally, I'm that type of guy.
I actually had a very similar experience. So across this year, so currently I have 11 or 12 properties. I would have to confirm that. Depends how you want to count them, right? Some people are like, if there's 2 and it's a subdivision, is that 2 or did you purchase 1? So yep. we'll go with 11 just for convenience sake here. But I've had valuations done this year, and I will disclose, I actually have had a couple of properties go down in value by about 5%. So there are markets in which property is going down, but overwhelmingly my portfolio has been much to the same of yours. I've been quite surprised by some of the valuations. Very, very surprised by the valuations.
What, the news prepared you for bad news? And it was like, thanks for giving me a soft landing.
So why has this made you believe in property ongoingly?
Yeah, so for me looking at it, I'm like, okay, then what the news is representing, because it opened a can of worms. Right, and it always does, of me going, well, why? If property prices are dropping 10, 15% in like Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, what is the difference? And it's just, they go off dollar amounts as opposed to the number of dwellings that have gone down. And so when you've got a $20 million house in Sydney that's dropping by a couple of mil, dude, that's a huge impact to a dollar amount. But when you're looking at townships that have got houses for a couple of $100,000, like, the impact of like a 10, 15% drop is just not going to be the same because they're still affordable to the local economy. And so it was this revalidation of saying, well, there are markets in markets, and where you buy is really critical. And so I just look at, sure, there are places that I probably won't buy because I don't think that they will crush. But I'm like, they're just markets that I won't be in. But overall, property, I'm like, definitely there are places that I will continue investing in because I believe they're affordable and they will continue to grow.
All right, so interesting point here. So your reason number one you still believe in property is, one, that it hasn't actually gone down as represented nationally. You know, they get a bit funny with the numbers. And then two, you're still believing in a lot of the areas and what's going on within that.
Completely. Right. What about you? What's your number one? I'm curious now. It's a competition, by the way. I'm totally going to crush you.
I really shouldn't be opening with this point then. It's a more anecdotal one. I feel like this is like...
Hey, that's fine. You do you.
I did a bit of research in preparation for this first episode, Grant, and one of the things I wanted to particularly do is go out to my network, and particularly young people, and see if they're still interested in buying a house, right? So if a young person today, like, is their aspiration still to own a home? And if they own a home, so maybe they're a millennial, are they still interested in upgrading their home? So, you know, get the dream house and things. What percentage of people do you think I spoke to still want to own a home?
I reckon younger people would be bugger all, but I reckon people around our age, I don't know, I feel as though maybe like a 50-50 split, maybe 60% wanted, right? I just feel like it's a trend going the other way. You're going to tell me it's like
way off.
100.
100%.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So 100% of the people, and I would say it's a diverse group of people. And again, anecdotal, I wouldn't take this to like, you know, national or whatever it is. Yeah. But everyone I spoke to, if they were young, they still see buying a home as a part of their future. Now, they might have to rent for now while they're, you know, completing education, getting their careers sorted. But there wasn't a single one that's like, no, I'm renting for life. Like, if the option to own a home in a location they want to live is possible, they're shooting for that. And even in our own conversations or the conversations I'm having with the people that already have the home, they're either thinking about they want to upgrade and improve the property they're in significantly, so value add to make it a home, they, again, want to own, or they've got aspirations to move to more affluent suburbs. So if they live further from the beach, they go, well, one day I would love to live closer to the beach. So there's this really like ingrained psychology, and I'll call it culture in Australia, revolving around property. And would it be too far to call it a religion? Kind of is.
Yeah, I feel like it is. I feel like we could just blend ourselves into it. All right, fellow property investor. If you loved the value from this short video and wanted to know more about how you can win at property investing, check out the full episode by clicking the link on your screen or in the description right now. Alternatively, click subscribe and you'll never miss another one of these videos.